So in the previous category, we talked about the entrance, the importance of that superstar coming out. But ultimately, once that match starts, there has to be that one move. The kick to the stunner is iconic, the rock bottom, the people's elbow. But in 2016, what has been the move of the year? We're going to be having that conversation right now. So Mr. McNulty, if you would do the honors of representing the list for the world to hear.
So
and please read
best,
as is.
Yeah. Yeah, I will read as is. This is how we typed it on our agenda, but for best maneuver.
Best maneuver.
Maneuver. All right, number 1, we have the phenomenal forearm. No chin music. Dirty deeds.
Done dirt cheap.
Magic killer. Strowman's front chokeslam. The pop-up powerbomb. River City Crossing, or whatever the fuck Cass calls it. And Ember Moon's stunner thingy.
Yeah, we're getting fancy with the names in here. So same thing as always.
I realized I stopped numbering them, by the way, but I didn't want to make it seem like we were ranking them.
It's in no particular order.
Yeah, this is in no particular order.
Is there anything else that needs to be on this list? I'm trying to think of everybody else's like finisher or signature.
I think we're good. Like, those are the ones that I'm thinking about this year. Because you can make the case, I know some people don't like it, but Roman Reigns' spear is really not bad. You can make the case for some things, but honestly, they've been here in 2015. Or like the Shatter
Machine, maybe?
Actually, yeah, the Shatter Machine could work. Oh, that could totally work. Actually, yeah, why is that not there?
I'm going to put Shatter Machine on this list.
The Shatter Machine, do we want to add DIY's finishing maneuver, like the double kick? I forgot what they call it, but that happens in NXT. So that could be another option. Not feeling it too much?
I'm not feeling that one too much.
Okay, so we got the Shatter Machine.
What's the American Alpha one called? The
Grand Amplitude.
Grand Amplitude.
Ryan, how are you feeling about that?
Can you remind me what it is?
I think that says it right there. I think that,
for the record,
I know they do a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's like the lift into the back suplex. Like, so Jason Jordan lifts him up, and then Gable grabs the guy, does a back suplex of the bridge.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was that because I don't know if it quite makes my list.
Yeah,
but it is a very cool move.
After thinking about it, I have to agree.
So let's talk about the ones that we do have. If we get a Naomi effect where it's like somebody that, you know, whose move we forgot, we can add that quickly and then maybe talk about that. So we got the phenomenal forearm, we got the magic killer. Anything that we should cross off, my initial vote is going to go for Strowman's front chokeslam. I think it's a cool move, but he stopped doing it at this point. He now does the Oklahoma slam for a finishing maneuver. And it didn't always look great. I think it looked great when guys like Ellsworth took him. But aside from that, there was really not that much else to it.
No, I agree with that.
Willing to cut.
And let's be real here for a moment. The no chin music does not need to be on this list.
Dude, he actually, real talk, he has a great super kick.
He has a great super kick, but so does literally half the roster. When you put it against everybody else's super kick, it's funny, and I love the name No Chin Music, but it's not one of the best maneuvers of the year.
I agree. I mean, it's got the best name, let's be honest, but just because it has a cool name doesn't mean it deserves to be the best maneuver of the year. So I agree, it should be cut.
If we got to cut something else, I'm actually going to bring up the Dirty Deeds because I'm not a huge fan of his DDT. I think that the way he does it, there's not enough impact. When you look at guys that historically have done moves like that, even Mick Foley, he put more of his weight into it. Of course, he was a heavier man. But with Dean Ambrose, the way he does it, unless it's a guy like Triple H who sells it like the man is getting killed by it, some of the times it just kind of looks like it looks like the setup for a bigger finishing maneuver half the time. Sometimes it looks badass, but it should be a finishing maneuver that feels like a finishing maneuver. I know that kind of sounds redundant, but I'm thinking everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do like the snap that goes into the Dirty Deeds. It's like a quick little thing, but Dean Ambrose just kind of snap his back, and then it adds a little more impact. So on that point, I disagree, but as much as I like the Dirty Deeds, and I think it's the move that gained the most credibility this year, because it started at a point where the Dirty Deeds would barely put anybody away. And then for a while, it became the most devastating finisher on the roster.
Yeah, it wasn't really until the draft, until SmackDown became its own show, that it became like a power move. Before that, It was kind of like, oh, he did the move, but it didn't put the guy away.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the coolest finisher this year, but it did get the biggest power level increase this year. So it is an actual finisher that you can expect a 1, 2, 3, even if they haven't kicked out of it yet during the match. It could put somebody away the first time it's performed.
So should we cut it?
I agree to cut it.
All right, let's cut the Dirty Deeds.
Dirty Deeds, they're done dirt cheap, but they're also gone from this list. Okay, Indeed. So that is gone.
How about the Magic Killer?
Yeah, we were pretty much going to bring up the same one.
The Magic Killer has a really cool name, but it seems like, you know how when a wrestler comes into the WWE and they always have that, like, basically bucket of generic finishing moves that people use. Like sometimes they'll use the overdrive, sometimes they'll use the STO, sometimes they'll use the complete shot. And I'm using SmackDown versus Raw names here because that's what I know them as. Yeah. But the Magic Killer just kind of seems like a two-man version of one of those. It's like, you twist the dude.
It's a two-man version
really
of
protected.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like a two-man version of like the Crossroads, sort of, in a way.
Kind of, yeah.
That's the thing is, if the club had more credibility, it would be easier to keep this on the list. But they've just been really kind of shat on for a good chunk of the year. And even though the Magic Killer is protected, it doesn't feel quite like something like a 3D or another one of those iconic double team moves. You know, I don't really get that same devastated, impact. I don't feel that like I do with some of the other ones.
And I do think part of that has to go into what makes the best maneuver of the year is the impact behind it from the superstar. Like, is this something that actually puts people away? And do you get that, like, oh crap, they hit the Magic Killer moment from it? And you don't really get that with the club, and it loses a lot of the impact from it.
You know, I'm really surprised that we forgot to add Shatter Machine initially to the list, but when you compare those two, and for those that don't watch NXT,
it's not even a question.
Yeah, it's not even a question of which one's better, but when you watch NXT, because one of the big matches this year was between DIY, which is Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, and then the Revival. And when DIY hit the Shatter Machine on the Revival, they hit their own finishing move, like on they used the other team's move against them. It was a big deal. Whereas I think that if anybody saw anybody do the Magic Killer to the club, there would be no reaction. So that says a lot about the move. Even though people don't kick out of it, I just don't feel anything about it. So the three of us pretty much agree at this point. Gone is the Magic Killer. Left, we do have the Phenomenal Forearm, the Pop-Up Powerbomb, the River City Crossing or whatever the hell, the Stunner Thingy, and the Shatter Machine.
So
we got a couple of moves.
The Phenomenal Forearm absolutely has to be on this list, right?
There's a slight pause between Ryan and me, so that means maybe not so.
It's a very cool move, but I don't know if it's not my winner. It's not my winner.
It might not be your winner, but I think it has to be on the top 3 of this year. Just the style and the grace that AJ Styles has when he does it, and less so. It's almost like a compressed version of the Dirty Deeds into this year, where it started off where the Phenomenal Forearm, like, he did 40 of them to Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns still won a match, but it got to the point where he beat John Cena with a Phenomenal Forearm. But the thing that I love about it so much is that it almost feels like at least for me, time stops when AJ Styles does the phenomenal forearm. He just flows so gracefully in the air that it feels like just this awesome little moment as he's soaring through the air, and I love it. I love it so much. The phenomenal forearm is so good.
I kind of fell in love with it right now. I want to take it out on a date based on that description right there. We got 5. We got 5 moves right now. So the phenomenal forearm is the one move that Ryan and I maybe aren't exactly sold on that, like in the top 3. Is there
I'm
anything
not willing
from
to
this
let
list?
it go, yes.
But is there anything for you then, Keith, on this list that you think should be removed?
I think the River City Crossing doesn't hang at this point.
Yeah,
I would
I'm willing to cut that. Yeah.
There we go.
right.
So that
No
is
arguments there.
That is gone.
Honestly,
left. Okay.
For myself, it's between either cutting Ember Moon's Stunner or the Pop-Up Powerbomb.
Oh man, that is a tough one right there.
Well, let me make a case for Ember Moon's Stunner thingy, because I am a person that loves variations of cutter moves, especially things that resemble the Stone Cold Stunner. There's so many opportunities for like moves like that to happen in WWE that you don't really see too often anymore. And I think a lot of people, just out of respect for Austin, don't like to do that too much. But this stunner move, even though I feel like it'll destroy your spine if you perform it all the time for the rest of your career, is such a cool move. And it's the first time I've ever seen this move before. You know, to me at least, I don't know, I'm sure it's been done somewhere else, but in WWE, this is an 100% original move, which is a big rarity at this point in time. And I think it has just the ability to be one of the most impactful finishers. I mean, it's just really freaking cool, and they should protect the hell out of that thing. And
it's a real nice breath of fresh air from John Cena's springboard stunner he was doing for a while.
He almost got all of it.
And it's a finisher, too. It's a finisher. It's not like this BS springboard stunner, like signature move.
I feel very strongly about that move. I think that may be the number 1 move because, number 1, nobody has kicked out of it yet. Number 2, it's a finishing maneuver. And number 3, it's original. Like Ryan said, I mean, you look at a guy like Bobby Roode right now. When he came in, big deal, but then he did a pump handle drop as a finishing maneuver. And now he has a DDT as a finishing maneuver. There's not that much originality. Here comes Ember Moon, and all of a sudden she does something that she doesn't need to do that. She is very athletic. She is very talented in the ring, but then her finishing maneuver just takes her to a whole different level. And not all of these have to be finishing maneuvers, right? But then you look at that, and I really do think that, to me, is the finisher of the year. Which, by the way, we didn't bring up the Kinshasa. We did leave that out. Is that something that I'm already seeing that's not going to be a hard argument? I brought it up at least.
I will say that the Kinshasa is the worst part of Shinsuke Nakamura.
I kind of agree.
All right.
Well,
okay, everybody listening, put the pitchforks down.
Yeah.
Put the pitchforks down. Real talk, I am not a huge fan of strike finishers. Like strikes being like running knees or running kicks, or the clothesline from hell, I think, is the only running strike that I've ever cared about, but it was only when JBL did it. Everybody else, I'm kind of like about. Like the no chin music is funny and all that, and it is a good kick, but it's not my finisher of the year or anything like that.
Yeah, it doesn't have the impact that I feel it should. Like, it's just, oh, hey, here's a knee.
So, based on this, we're down to 4, right?
Yes.
We got Shatter Machine, Stunner Thingy, Forearm, and then the Pop-Up Powerbomb.
I'm willing to give up the Pop-Up Powerbomb.
I am as well.
Yeah, same here. The Pop-Up Powerbomb's a real cool move. And I think it has potential to be the next RKO where Kevin Owens can just hit it at any time. But these other 3 moves are just so goddamn good.
So now we're down to just ordering the top 3. So I'm just going to step in and say my number 1 is Ember Moon's Stunner Thingy. I should probably learn the actual name of it. Then we have the Shatter Machine, and then the Phenomenal Forearm.
For me, I would have to say that it's Ember Moon's Stunner at number 3, the Shatter Machine at number 2, and the Phenomenal Forearm at number 1. The Phenomenal Forearm is just so cool.
For me, then, I'm going to go number 1, the Stunner, for everything I just said. Number 2, I got to go with the Shatter Machine, and number 3, Forearm. So I pretty much have the same order as... No, Keith, you have 2 different ones. So I think you and I are slightly different.
We have the same order one.
Yeah, Ryan and I have the same order, so that's technically the majority.
You guys made a very good point for the Stunner, and if this was a personal thing, it wouldn't be a question of the Phenomenal Forearm being number 1, but I can get behind the Stunner being number 1.
And the Shatter Machine at number 2, then?
No. I will fight that.
Here we go.
This could be a compromise of we put the Phenomenal Forearm at number 2 and the Shatter Machine at number 3. Therefore, Keith's number 1 vote can hold some weight to it to bring up the Forearm.
Mm-hmm. Like the Shatter Machine is awesome. It's really cool, but it's just not on the same level as the Phenomenal Forearm for me. It's just this awesome move, and it's created some of the best moments of 2016, like at SummerSlam when AJ Styles beat John Cena and JBL was just like ball game after the Phenomenal Forearm. I loved it so much. It was kind of dumb, but it's so good.
So to recap,
I can't stand when JBL does that, but yeah.
Poor JBL. Leave JBL alone. So here we go, folks. Byte That's 2016 Best Maneuvers or Best Moves. At number 1, it is Ember Moon's Stunner Thingy per our professional list of wrestling maneuvers. And number 2, we do have the Phenomenal Forearm as a compromise to Mr. Poshik. And at number 3, we do have the Revival's Shatter Machine because they do no flips, just fists over there in NXT.
And they go hard.
Make it up very soon. All day, all night, as a matter of fact.
All their proud Southern people are ready to fight. Now, what do they say?
Yeah. You guys are supposed to say yeah with me. Otherwise, I sound like an idiot.
That was my intention.
I hate you, Keith. Thanks for watching the award show so far, but there's plenty more to come, so if you have watched them in order, thank you. That truly does mean a lot to us, so subscribe if possible, share, and get the word out.